Hello and welcome to another episode of Your Space Uganda with your host Hannah Arinitwe. We have gotten a lot of engagement on our social media and we had to definitely continue this conversation here again. We are still looking at utilizing social media activism to mobilize young people on the fight against corruption. Now with me on the panel again this Sunday is the fantastic team that I've had. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Thank you for having me. Good evening, viewers. I'm very happy to be part of this conversation this evening.
Yes. Welcome to the show again, Muzaffar.
Thanks a lot, Hannah, for inviting me here once again. Just delighted to have the conversation going.
Welcome to the show, Mutesi.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you for hosting me.
Yeah. So as we closed off the show last Sunday, there was something, Hadija, that you mentioned that really triggered a number of people's minds. You talked about how, as much as we're using social media, we must still also look at strengthening the other factors that play against the fight of corruption. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we can't solely focus on social media?
What I can say is that we have different reforms when it comes to corruption. There are a lot of loopholes. We have a good constitution in our country, but when it comes to implementation, that's where the biggest challenge comes in. So can we revise this constitution, especially where corruption is embedded, and see what has gone, what has not been working, so that as we engage youth to to advocate on social media, can we also engage youth to come and amend this constitution in that corruption sector? Let us also involve youth in these. Let us get opinions from the grassroots, from these very youth, so that even if we are on the social media, we know what we are talking about, we are informed, we are sensitized. Some of the youth are there talking about corruption, but they don't even know. They don't know anything, we are not informed. But how are we going to be informed? Let us be informed in a language that relates to us as youth, okay? Yeah.
Dr. Patricia, do you think that we would be missing out if we only focused on social media to fight corruption as young people?
I think, like Mutesi has brought it out, we, as a country, we have got a strong policy, legal and institutional framework in the fight against corruption. We have got a constitution and several other legislations unpacked from the constitution, like the Anti-Corruption Act, the Whistleblower Protection Act, the Leadership Code Act, and so on, and many others, which basically are well written, which are very strong enough in the fight against corruption. What we are lacking as a country is the enforcement, implementation of those laws. Because alongside social media, I think we need an informed citizenry, so that the citizen knows about his responsibility in the fight against corruption. And Muzaffaru touched a very, very important role, where Article 17 of the Constitution unpacks the role of the citizen in preventing and combating corruption. So as citizens out there, it's important that we wake up, everybody wakes up and begins fighting against corruption, because this country is ours and we can't afford to see it go to waste. As for institutions, there are so many institutions we have, like the Inspectorate of Government, which is the lead anti-corruption agency in the country, and then we have got the entire interagency forum comprising of the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecution, the CID, the Anti-Corruption Unit of State House. We have got the Directorate for Ethics and Integrity, and so many other agencies, all involved in the fight against corruption. Why? Because the fight against corruption requires a holistic approach. Holistic approach with everybody's involvement, and that's why today we are talking about the role of the citizens. We want the citizens to own the war against corruption, because at the end of the day, the citizen is the actual victim. When drugs are stolen from the hospital and packed through investigative journalism, it is the citizen who suffers when those drugs are taken away. It's the citizen who suffers when there are no teachers in the classroom teaching, yet they require to be paid fees. And the cost of corruption is very high and has got lots of implications in our country. So it is high time we rose to this, to add to what social media is doing, Let us strengthen the institutions that are existing. Let us strengthen the role of the citizens so that we take it as a holistic war for everybody else. And then I urge the youth to build on the integrity campaigns. Because when we build on those campaigns, the young people will know about their responsibilities, will know about the core values in the fight against corruption, will know about how they can significantly contribute to the war against corruption. Because like we started last Sunday, corruption requires an approach which is militaristic. It's a war. And when you go for war, you equip yourself, prepare yourself very well. And social media is one of the weapons we can use. But we also need information so that we can be able to encourage people to demand for accountability from an informed perspective as citizens. Thank you very much.
Dr. Patricia, I feel like, I know this is not a show where we do the blame game, but who should we blame for the inadequacy in strengthening the policies and strengthening and ensuring that whatever is written in the Constitution is actually being done in real person, in real life? So who should we
I think it's not about blaming, it's about owning up and taking responsibility. We need to go to the round table. Look at the institutions. Are they facilitated enough to do their work? What about the different responsibilities of the citizens we are talking about? Are the citizens contributing positively, or the citizens are away in lamentation? I think we need to wake up as Ugandans, own up, take responsibility. If I am in the Inspectorate of Government, what is it that I've failed to do to strengthen the war against corruption and have significant impact in the Inspectorate of Government? And for the other agencies as well, what is it that their role is and what is their contribution? What are they bringing to the table to contribute to the war against corruption? Because you realize it's the agencies supposed to build strong networks, partnerships, and strategic alliances with the other stakeholders, with the citizens, with the young people, with institutions of learning, so that everybody comes together. Because this war against corruption, by the way, requires unity of purpose, where everybody is purposeful and intentional and can define and scope what corruption is and can know what their contribution is in the war against corruption. Because if we go by the blame game, we are going to be poking holes and, you know, escalating conflicts amongst individuals. But we need to bring individuals to a round table and say, hey, what is our responsibility in building this nation? Because this is our nation, this is our country, Uganda, and we cherish and value the country. Because we love the country, we make significant contribution to its national development, and fighting against corruption is one of those things we can contribute to positively.
Definitely. Now, going back onto the conversation of influencers and viral trends playing a big role in creating change, I know that a number of people who are in institutions of power look at this as wasting time. Why are you using an influencer that is rapping, you know? Why are you jumping on the alien skin trend to push change and all these different things? I remember I worked at a certain place in a certain project, and I had that conflict with people who are way older than me. They never understood that in order for us to get engagement, we must have like timely posts. They felt like that was wasting time. They wanted to update like at the end of everything, and you know, to get them onto these trends is quite hard. So why do you think that using viral trends and influencers is actually very essential when it comes to grasping the attention of young people in change?
Actually, Hannah, I will tell you that you see, each and every era comes with its own way of doing things. I'm opposed to people who think that, okay, we should not look at the back, how our grandfathers and grandmothers doing things. But the fact that this era has social media, we have to engulf it into the ways people used to do things way then. But also the people who are looking at us right now should understand that this is a new era. You see now these people are doing things in a certain way. How do I make it ethical? How do I make it effective? You understand that? But you see, I'll tell you this. Just of recent, we had an innovation expo at Makerere University, and I was one of the heads of the social media department in the organization. But I would want to tell you, we sat in a meeting, and I was telling these people that we need to create a hashtag for the expo, and this is going to be the highlight on social media. And some of them were like, they were not buying the idea. You understand? But at Makerere University, where I come from, I'll give you an example because it's where I come from right now. Most of the students are very active on WhatsApp and Twitter, but most especially WhatsApp. So if you want to get a student out of bed, they are the ones who come to class. They come from their hostel to class, attend a lecture, go for lunch, back to bed. Daily routine. They don't mind about what is happening at campus, no. That is their daily routine. So how do you tap into them? It's only through social media. You understand? How do you get to them? It is through a hashtag that has gotten a lot of posts. You understand? And for it to trend, there have to be very many people who have posted content and also put the hashtag amongst their information. And that is the way you're going to get them. Because social media is constructed in a way that it is very manipulative for the people who coined the idea of establishing social media. That's why in one way or another, I'm starting to turn off notifications of my applications. Most of them. Because you're going to be doing something serious. You get a notification from James. James telling you, you know what is happening here? Before you know it, you're off track with what you've been doing because of the notification. But still, the notification might be of importance.
Yes.
The hashtag which has been trending on Twitter, for example, I follow Adija on her Twitter handle. If she posts something, immediately, if I have notifications on, I'm going to get a notification that Hadija has posted something on X. I tap on the link. I go and see what she has posted. Before you know it, I'm retweeting, I'm posting, I'm quoting the tweet. It is causing impact. And that is how we proceed. You see, there have been various hashtags of corruption, of anti-corruption, corruption free Uganda, let us end corruption. These hashtags can only move if they have information that is attached to them, which is meaningful. Now, for example, if Doctor goes to a community outreach and she informs people about the various things that we are facing in this country about corruption, how we are trying to curb it, how we are trying to combat it as a country, you come and inform the people who are not there, because you have just a small group of 100 people. But when you come on Twitter, when you come on Instagram, when you come on Facebook, which can be accessed by billions and billions of people, you're impacting because of that hashtag. You're impacting because of one influencer, because of one blogger. You're going to pay just some small amount of money. And when he's on his live, he says that, you know what, guys, today the IGG has been at this various place informing us about this issue. This is a very pertinent issue in the country. Before you know it, people know about the issue. So the influencers, bloggers, and all those people on social media are very pertinent. We just need to understand how to rally behind these things without misinforming people. And that is how we proceed.
Definitely. Let's take a break. We're going to be right back. Keep here on Your Space. Welcome back from that mini break. You are still tuned into Your Space with your host, Hannah Arinita. We're still talking about the use of social media activism in the fight against corruption and cause of change in the country. Now, we talked about protection of people who use their platforms to for activism. Hadija, have you ever faced a situation where your activism has caused you to feel insecure in one way or the other?
Yeah. It happened back then when I was in year 1 at Makerere University, when I had just become a GRC, a lead at my college, and then students were demanding for their marks and all that. So in Makerere we have, you reach a time where it's a must for you to put on your red gown.
Yes.
to show that actually the situation is really serious and what you're talking about, you're not going to rest until it's, worked upon. So I had to put on that very gown. I wrote a message and let it out, go on media and everywhere on WhatsApp platforms. I'm demanding for my college's marks. If they are not there, I'm going to take the other way around, the violent way around. So
that's your action.
Yes, so I was too active because I was like, my time is about to end and I have, to show what I've done for my people. I was willing to do anything. The moment that thing saturated everywhere, some lecturers who hadn't given us our marks started sending some threatening letters, telling me how they own my future, how they can give me retakes, a lot of intimidation. So I sat back and I was like, what if I'm given a retake at this university? All those people I'm fighting for, who will come and rescue me? Or will come and pay for my tuition if they leave me here? Like in that situation, what protection do I have? However much I'm fighting, I'm advocating for a certain cause, but what protection do I have as an activist?
That's true.
And you know what I did? I just had to go to my friend. I was like, man, these are the letters I'm receiving, and I'm not willing to get a retake.
Yes.
But I kept on doing what I'm doing, and one of the paper I was doing, I won't mention the college and the course unit, but I was made out to get out of the paper for 45 minutes when others are doing, because that I didn't have a mask, or the mask was halfway, yet some didn't even.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see the intimidation you receive when you try to advocate, yet you don't have security, that you don't have security to protect you. They say we have speech, but you have a right to speech, but you don't have a right after
speech. Yes. Yeah. So Dr. Patricia, does your office provide some sort of protection for people who are standing in between the gap?
Well, our work is backed always by the law. We have got the Constitution and the Inspectorate of Government Act, but we also have the Whistleblower Protection Act. The Whistleblower Protection Act, in essence, is supposed to protect a whistleblower who brings information to us relating to an anomaly like corruption incident happening. So that law protects that whistleblower and pays the whistleblower 5% of the proceeds if the money is recovered. But for experiences and instances where Hadija has shared, where there is violence, where there is victimization, if that person is a whistleblower, then we can take action, investigate it, and deal with the agency victimizing that whistleblower. There are instances where the whistleblowers have been exposed to victimization, to suffering. Some of them have lost their jobs because they have reported cases of anomaly or corruption or victimization to the Inspectorate of Government. That is highly regrettable. We have instances of whistleblowers who blow their covers and then get exposed to suffering, get exposed to danger. But whistleblowers are not supposed to blow their covers. They report the issues in secret, and we also do clandestine investigations, and as and when we need them, we know how to get them. But things have gotten bad. Like I've appeared on radio talk shows where people call in to say that your office, when we report, before the person has even gotten out of the building, the person reported is already known. Now that speaks to integrity. Integrity of the employees, integrity of the people working in these institutions.
Deputy IGG, what I would wish to inquire, you said the whistleblowers, their candles shouldn't be, they shouldn't blow their candles. But you as a person, like the IGG office, you're the people with the right information, like to be disseminated to the public. So me, I'll go on Twitter, I'll find someone has wrote about corruption and all that. I'll carry that information and maybe add in something, but
saturate it.
Yes, and saturate it. So you might find someone who is having actually the right information is having less followers, and me who is having a big follower, I'm going to get and add something small, and you find that my message has actually saturated. Everyone is having that wrong information. So what strategy do you have as the IGG office to see that actually if you have the right information, you make sure it goes to the people? If their target audience is, media, Twitter and all that, what strategy do you have for you to scope out those very people that are followed, those very people who have big numbers, okay? So that they are the one with that very right information, so that even if it saturates, it is right from your office. Because this information mislead people. Mislead people a lot.
Well, we have a media strategy in the Inspectorate of Government. We have got a unit specifically dealing with the media. It's strategic partnership and information management. Now, that unit basically manages what goes on out to the public. We do lots of dissemination through that unit. We do lots of information sharing through that unit. And that unit is what links us up with the media, the fourth estate. Yes. But if there is anything negative out there, still we rely on that unit to issue a rebuttal, to pull down that information which is negative, shared out there. But it is very important, Hadija, for us to build strong partnerships and strategic alliances in the war against corruption. I would be happy to encourage a partnership with Inspire Africa, so Inspire Uganda, so that we can be able to disseminate this information, because I know we can fight corruption by relying on you, Hadija, because you have a strong, wider following or coverage than even mine. But I know that when we do things together, then we go a long way, because it has been said that if you want to go far, go as a team. If you want to go fast, move alone. So if you move alone, you move fast and very fast. But if you want to go far, the teamwork in the fight against corruption is very, very significant. And I believe we will go very far when we work together. Yes. Definitely.
So I like, Dr. Patricia, that you came in earlier on with the ethical considerations when we are engaging on social media in the fight against corruption. Sometimes we can get really overwhelmed and we get into our own world and get beyond what we should be going beyond. Maybe I'll take this question to Muzaffar. What are some of the ethical considerations that the young people who are watching should take into consideration while using social media?
Thanks a lot, Hannah, for that. But before I will go back to just this.
It's okay.
I remember I host Twitter Spaces on X. They are called Out of it. The Twitter Space is called Out of the Box. But you see, I've received a lot of threats because I host Twitter Spaces specifically about Makere issues.
Yes.
There is someone I won't mention who always calls me and he tells me that, you know what, don't host that Twitter space. It's against the university policies. But because I know my rights as a person, I studied governance and constitutional development when I was in my A level. I know my rights as a person. I always tell him, if you do have a problem with me hosting my Twitter spaces about the issues that are happening in the university, go to court. Go to police and report me. I'm available in the university. You understand? And at the end of the day, I host my spaces. It happens and no one chases against me. So people should know their rights. But to go to the side of the ethics, you see, like Hannah, like the way I told you, that this is a new way of sharing information, away from the traditional ways we used to share information. Social media invites a lot of people of different ages. Imagine some parents give their kids phones when they are at the age of 13 years.
These days it's like even 1 year your kid has a tab, an iPad.
I remember I got a phone in my P7 vac. Immediately after P7, my mom bought for me a phone. Now that exposes you to a very wide range of information which is not sieved. Like it will happen here on traditional media and they will say that this program is rated at 18. So if you are below 18 years, please step aside. Social media does not have that. So you invite people from different backgrounds without a newsroom or an editor who is going to censor this information. So someone is going to just record a video, just raw as it is. They post it on social media without that censorship. I think how to approach the ethical way of doing things, we need to invest in informing people how to use the social media way. They have the platforms like Twitter, but how do you use this social media? Like in the fight against corruption, are you going to go and start tying a certain corruption case against someone who is not involved in the case? are you going to start spreading hate speech about someone because the other person has given you money? I think we need to learn how to use these social media platforms. Of course, companies have come up with the same companies have come up with various prompts that censor information somehow if you post something that is not appropriate. But you see, that is not enough. I think we need to, and this goes back to the education. Because if someone does not know how to use something and they just bump into it, they will form their way of using it. You understand? But if I have prior information about how I should use social media, trust me, if I start using it, even when I'll choose to go the negative way, I will know very well the implications that are there. If you're spreading hate speech about someone, you will know that there is defamation. That law can get you. There is the right to privacy. It is provided for under the laws. So you know that if I do this, I can fall victim of this. So what happens and no one reacts is that people use others' ignorance. That I'm going to write something that is misinforming, but the person who has been affected will not take action because they don't know that when someone spreads misinformation about you, it can be defamation and you can take them to courts of law. Definitely. You understand? So I think if we are informed enough, we can storm this. But if we don't have the information, at the end of the day, we are going to lose our ethics. And it's not that we are going to lose them. We have lost them. Because problems are, whenever a problem comes and you solve it with a problem,
it escalates a problem.
It escalates a problem.
Thank you so much again for honoring my invite onto the show. It's been lovely having you. This is Your Space with your host, Hannah Arinite. Have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.